Hi, everyone. Welcome to Wine.com Experiences. I'm Gwendolyn Osborne. Thank you so much for joining us today for our biodynamic duo. We are talking to two winemakers who are leaders in biodynamic wine in France, actually probably in the world, and we're really excited to kind of dive into this topic. Thank you so much to those of you who submitted questions when you registered. We are just so thrilled about how interested people are in this topic, and we can't wait to include all of those in our conversation, and we'll get to a few at the end as well. If you purchase the wines ahead of time, I encourage you to get those open, find some glassware, get those wines poured, grab snacks if you need them. Please don't feel obligated to taste all three wines. We will be drinking tasting all three of these wines today, but this video does live on the Wine.com YouTube channel after today. So whatever you don't feel like you can sip tonight, you can certainly come back and revisit some of those tasting notes. Speaking of tasting notes, if you would like more detailed information on these wines, I encourage you to go to Wine.com. The wine pages are just chock full of information, maps, critics reviews, all of those good things. In addition, the page where this trio is for purchase, we also have a downloadable PDF where we go into a lot more detail on the wines and where they're from. So you can just kind of dive deeper in. The three wines we are tasting today in order are the Côte de Rose Rosé, the M. Chapoutier La Compilate Viognier, and Gérard Bertrand L'Hospitalet Grand Vin Rouge. So those are the three we will have, and let us introduce our guests, the biodynamic experts, legends of the south of France, Michel Chapoutier and Gérard Bertrand. Bienvenue, monsieur.
Hello.
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 Bonsoir.
Pleasure to
Thank
see
you.
you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I know it's late for you. We appreciate your time and expertise as we talk about this really fantastic subject. Yeah, we're really excited about how many people want to learn about this. Before we start talking biodynamics, though, we're going to have an apéro and start with a rosé, this delightfully delicious, beautiful rosé. Gérard Bertrand.
Yeah, yes.
This wine, the Côte de Rose, is from the Languedoc region of France here. If you see this on the map, it's kind of this whole region right there on the coast. And it's a beautiful, stunning place. And it makes beautiful, stunning wine. The wine here, the Côte de Rose, is not only a really delicious flavor, but is also such a fun package, because for those of you who have this wine at home, if you check out the bottom, you will see that it's a rose etched in glass. That's so pretty. So it's a very reusable bottle as well. So Gérard, could you tell us a little bit about this wine? Where it's from?
Yeah, it's I started to make rosé now 40 years ago with my father when I was a kid, and my father was a pioneer in the region for making rosé. And I never forget the way he managed that in the cellar. And of course, I had a passion for rosé, but the rosé was not popular outside France for a couple of decades. And then we start to export a rosé now 10 years ago. But to come back to the wine, it's a blend of Grenache, Cinsault, and Syrah, the most important grape for making great rosé in France. And we use the same grape as, as in all the Mediterranean side, And of course, I like to age 5% of this rosé in oak to have a deep length, and it's interesting because I like to have the balance between the light colors, the freshness, and when you smell it, and you can smell aromas coming from the fruit. Yes, you have and also a touch of spicy note and garrigue. And what I like the most is the verticality and the minerality, because when you drink a glass of rosé, you have to salivate. You need to feel the saliva in your mouth, because I don't know if if you drink the rosé, you feel the same as me, but when I drink it, for me, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, but I feel re-energized. I feel much better now.
Good. So anytime you want to feel like you need to wake up, you need rosé. Exactly.
Yeah, and rosé, rosé all day, and sometimes all night. for us. But yeah, you know, it's very good, the rosé, because in the past, people believed that the rosé was not very serious, but now people understand that the rosé, we do the same work with the rosé than we do with the white. You know, we use more or less the same principle. And for this wine, we use very old vines, and we like to deliver the taste of the south of France in a bottle. And the name of the wine is also the name of the coast. You know, this is a beach. This is the name of the beach between Narbonne and Grissac. And that's why, you know, we have also the bottom with the roses, you know, and it's very easy for people to remember. And people keep the bottle when they finish it. Yes.
We use it. We use it to pour water on our table.
Yeah.
It's our water bottle. Yeah, it's wonderful. That's wonderful. Also, that kind of keeps in the spirit of environmentally friendly. So, well, this is delicious. I have so many friends and family who know this wine very well, and it's just a wonderful rosé for any time one is looking for delicious rosé. So
yeah, and now, you know, the rosé market is blooming in the USA, and especially people start to drink rosé for happy hours, you know, and before the dinner. Yeah, apéro, yes. Apéro.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Okay, so sorry?
If you permit me, Gwendolyn.
Yes.
You know, I think, Gérard, that the next step with rosé will be to prove people that you can age a rosé.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree, you know. I agree, Michel. That's why, you know, we just launched last year Clos du Temple, and we had the chance to drink a bottle together when you came to visit me 2 months ago, and you do also great rosé in you know, in the Rhône Valley, and of course, for me, rosé, as I agree with you, has the same potential of aging as a great white if you keep the freshness and the acidity.
Absolutely, and you mentioned putting some in oak, and I think that will be next steps.
That is still difficult to make people understand this. They like to have fresh rosé of the year, and it is true that when the rosé is one more year older, then you have some more complexity sometimes. But we need to work to give more education to people to understand that the rosé is finally like a white wine, and the rosé can have an ability to age. Okay,
that is next step on our rosé education. I'm ready.
Yes.
I'm going to share that.
Let's do a seminar next year.
Yeah, let's do a seminar on
yes.
You know, rosé with age. I'm in.
Yes.
I love my good French rosé. So we want to start talking a little bit about biodynamics. I was going to give just a brief introduction, not definition, because it's almost impossible to give a definition. Many books have been written on biodynamics, including books by our two guests. So, but I kind of wanted to just lay out a little bit for everybody that biodynamics applies to agriculture, not just wine. So it's kind of this philosophy that came about from Rudolf Steiner in the 1920s that was kind of applying to farming and agriculture once he was seeing how poor the soils were. So the idea behind this is to kind of create this self-sustaining ecosystem, this ecological system where everything on a farm, or in our case, a vineyard, works in sync with each other, also listens to nature and the earth, following the seasons, following the moon cycles, kind of working with nature's biorhythms naturally, as well as just kind of the natural elements present for compost and nutrients in the vineyard. And so it's kind of, I think it's a practice, it's a cycle of life within the vineyard. It takes that and creates this balanced, integrated ecosystem. So that was my brief introduction. We could spend probably 5 hours talking about that, but we shall be handing it off to the experts to dive in a little bit deeper. So Michel, I was going to start with you. You are a pioneer in the field of biodynamics, and this started for you in 1991. Yeah. What was the catalyst or the spark? What led you to begin practicing biodynamics in the vineyards?
You know, when I was much younger and when I was in California, I was very impressed of the quality of the wine. I'm speaking about now quite 40 years ago. And the California winemaking had a really big advance compared to France. And the strong point of France was the history of our soil. A vine with the roots digests to the soil, transforms the soil year after year, decade after decade, century after century. And the strength of the whole Europe, because it's not only France, that's true for Italy and for Spain compared to the New World, is that we have 20th century of vineyards. That means the soils have been educated through the centuries. But if you kill the bacteria in the soil, you lose the good terroir. And my idea when I came back to France, I said, okay, we have some of the oldest vineyards of France, but I don't want to make a varietal wine, I want to make a terroir wine. And to make a terroir wine, we need to have a alive soil. And to have an alive soil, it was necessary to use no chemical farming. Everything which is finishing by IDE, like herbicide, like insecticide, is killing the bacterial life in the soil. And that was for that Rudolf Steiner, at the beginning of the 20th century, wanted to stop this big disinfection of the soil with all these chemical products. And when you come back to the biodynamic farming, then the soil gives an ability to speak, ability to speak for the wine. The same grape on a granite will not have the same expression than on a limestone. And that gives all the sense of our AOC, because for me, 30 years ago, the AOC organization in France was become a little like a marketing gimmick. It was like a brand, but no more like a scientific truth. And only the biodynamic approach was giving the truth of the expression of terroir.
Okay.
Sorry, I was wrong.
That's beautiful. And I mean, it is about terroir. It's about the sense of place and also taking care of the earth where you are. We don't have unlimited vineyard space. So, Gérard, I believe you dove into biodynamics about a decade or so later. What did you see or read or taste that led you to biodynamics?
Yeah, for me, I start with the homeopathic medicine because I use homeopathic medicine since I was 20. And, that changed my life because, I was doing now at this time a sport at the high level, and I see how the holistic approach helped me to be more competitive and so on, and to have a better health and a better balance in my life. And then when I have read the book of Rudolf Steiner, it was like a revelation. And of course, I had to experiment, and I started only with 4 acres. And now we are the largest producer in the world because we have close to 2,000 acres converted to the biodynamic agriculture. And also it was important for me to talk with Aubert de Villaine, because when I had to get the chance to visit Aubert de Villaine at La Romane Conti, he shared with me his passion and also his commitment for, as Michel says, the taste of somewhere. That means the taste of the terroir, And also I met also Nicolas Joly from La Coulée de Syrah in a seminar, and this guy also opened my eyes about the influence of the cosmos in the soil and the subsoil, because at the end of the day, the principle of biodynamic farming is to use also the strength of the nature and the strength of the cosmos and the lunar effect also, in order to work in the vineyard day after day with the team. And I experiment now, and I am very happy because I see the result now for 20 years with a better balance, with a better freshness, minerality, and also, as we stop to use any chemical products and also fertilizer, we have, much more freshness in the wine and potential of aging. And at the end of the day, this is better for the quality of the wine and to reveal also the taste of somewhere.
Yes, and you're taking care of that place, which I think is behind a lot of what this is really caring for the soil and paying attention to the vineyard. Okay, why don't we taste the wines, and we'll talk about a little bit more about the exact vineyards where these are coming from. We're going to start with the Viognier. So, Michel, I know this comes from a series you call the Alchemy Wines, and it's so it's on the outskirts a little bit there on the Northern Rhône. There's a map there. Can you tell us a little bit more about the vineyards? I think we have a couple of shots of the vineyards here. Oh, that's just really beautiful.
So that is the vineyards around
Go back.
our private home.
Okay.
We call that, it's called Pilate because, you know, Pontius Pilate moved to Vienne near Côte-Rôtie after Jerusalem. And here it's on the place where he had his summer home. And so we had the place, our home.
Wow.
Our farm that we bought was built in 1492, but under there is a huge Roman house, which is by the archaeologists, logically the summer house of Pontius Pilate. What is interesting, we are just at the north of the Clos Hermitage appellation.
Yeah, that is very, I mean, you've got, there's a lot of history there. It's like Chateau de Pop, and then you have Hermitage, and now you have, that's really cool history.
So that's a place where there were vineyards 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So the soil is interesting because it is a rare granite. It is what we call a granulite, which is an alkaline granite, non-acid granite. And here we are at an altitude of 350 meters. We have planted some Viognier, and we make two wines there. So the Pilate, which is the still wine that you have, and we make also a very fascinating sparkling wine, which is very innovative because for the sparkling wine, we do ancestral fermentation. That means we don't make the two fermentation. We put the wine in bottle with the first fermentation. That's permit to have a sparkling wine at 10% of alcohol, even 9.9% of alcohol. What is interesting with the biodynamic culture, when you taste a wine like that, the first thing is because you have a very good bacterial life in the soil, only the bacteria are able to transmit to the roots the oligo-elements and minerals. When you kill the bacteria in the soil, the roots can only take the organic strengths, but not the mineral strengths. And when you taste this wine, you can remark on your tongue the high level of solid taste. And because we have a high density of bacteria, we extract the salt and you taste the salt. And I think that's one of the characteristics of the biodynamic wine. The first thing is on the taste, you have the salt. The second thing is that naturally we have a higher level of acidity. With the evolution of the global warming, that's interesting because naturally we have always a higher level of acidity than the level of acidity that you will find in wine which are done with conventional farming. What is interesting also, the wine is aged on the lees, and you have this nose where there is a little of barrels and there is also of tank, but you have this signature of the really matured of low yield. Low yield, we speak of 2 tons per acre. So we speak of 2 tons per acre, and then you have this concentration with this nose of apricot, a little, just a honeysuckle nose with flowers, acacia flower. You know, you have a very big diversity of aromas because, of course, we work with wild yeast, no selected yeast. Because when you use a selected yeast, then the yeast before to start to work will kill the wild natural yeast, and you lose the complexity. Each race of yeast will transform the sugar in alcohol with its purpose, with a personal signature, aromatic signature. A wine is an aromatic symphony, and more you have diversity of race of yeast, of wild yeast, it is like a philharmonic orchestra. More you will have instruments to make music. So with While yes, you will have probably less power aromatically speaking, but more diversity and complexity. And our goal is to make wines to be married with food. We don't try to make wine with power. No, 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 no. A marriage is never the relation of dominant and subordinating relation. That's not machist, a good marriage. That has to be balanced.
Yes, in all marriages, not just wine and food, every marriage, right?
Yeah, I try to explain that to my wife very often.
Okay. But I was going to ask you that because I know biodynamics is rooted in agriculture. So when Steiner came out, when biodynamics came out, it was about the soil, it was about the living farm, it was about that ecosystem. So it didn't go into saying, oh, and when you get into the cellar, do this.
No,
there
in the
was
cellar,
no
there is some
direction.
rule. There is some rules with sulfates. There is some rules. No chemical products in
Right.
in the cellar. So there is some rules in the cellar.
Okay.
But we have to keep in mind, and it's important for USA where the winemakers are so important. The quality is done always in the vineyard. In the vineyard, we create a potential quality. The winemaker is only transforming a potential in reality. The winemaker is never creating quality. And that is important to understand that everything, the potential is in the soil. One thing that I wanted to say to understand, people are speaking about astral movement. A very simple movement, easy to understand. When the sun is going up the morning, the sap is going up in the vine. When the sun is going down, the sap is going down. That means you will, if you are the morning, when the sap is going to the leaves, you will work the leaves. If the sap is going down in the afternoon, you will take care more about the soil. So that's a simple example to make people understand that there is some rhythmic which are absolutely obvious. People are scared about when we speak about planets and moons and all things. Yeah. That moons has influence on tide.
Yeah.
So, and on us because we're full of water, and tide is water, you know.
Yeah, and one of my children has been working on moon cycles. We've been talking a lot about the tide and the moon, and I think one way I sometimes describe biodynamics is that in the vineyard you're working with nature rather than against it. So you want to follow its lead.
Yes,
rather than
it is important. You know, sometimes in science or in chemical farming, they confuse between the disease and the symptom, and they want to hide the symptom and they forget the disease. We work with, if you can permit me the expression, with intention. I like the story of Cliff Baxter, you know, the guy who did some work on the plant. He was at the CIA, you know, with the lime machine, and he discovered with this machine that the plant could react in front of the pain, but also from the intention. And it is important to keep in mind that if you take care of your vine will be more resistant. You know, it is not the disease which is attacking the vine, it is very often the vine which is calling the disease.
Yep.
And when you understand this, that changes completely your way of thinking about how I will take care of the vineyards.
And I think that's interesting because that also goes back to Gérard. That goes back to you talking about a little bit about holistic medicine, where you're working with, trying prevention or intention rather than trying to cure something. So, Gérard, let's move on to this red wine. Thank you, Michel. This is beautiful. I've had this many times. I'm in love with this Viognier. I always say Viognier. So Gérard, we're moving on to the L'Hospitalet. Saying that correct?
Yes.
Right? This is in the La Clappe appellation in the Languedoc here, also right next to the sea here. And this is a very historical property you have. It's such a stunning location. I've had the privilege of being there, and you have this incredible hotel on the property as well, which kind of speaks to the hospitality you've brought here. And I know there's a jazz fest most years, and it's a really lovely, beautiful. Is that the vineyard right there?
Yeah, you know, Château L'Hospitalet is more than an estate. First of all, it's just close to the ocean. We are 2 miles away from the ocean. And then we have 2,000 acres of nature. That means it's an ecosystem, it's a natural park. And we have some orchids unique in the world. And we have a beautiful diversity, you know, and also, which is important, that La Clap, you know, the name of Clap is Clapas, and Clapes means in Latin word rock, you know, and of course the soil is made mainly with limestone, and we have wonderful wines because we have two kinds of soil. We have mainly limestone, and then we have a clay, and we are in altitude. We are between 600 feet and 900 feet. I mean, even if we are close to the beach, we keep the freshness. And we take the advantage of the wind coming from the ocean, which is very good for the Mourvedré. And the blend of this wine is a blend of Syrah, Grenache, and Mourvedré. And of course, and this is really the expression of the south of France, you know. And this vintage 2017, you know, we are fortunate because, first of all, you know, the rosé that we taste was rated 91 points by the wine enthusiast. And this wine has been elected as the best red wine in the world by the International Wine Challenge. This wine, this vintage. And, you know, this is great because it's also a recognition about the potential of the red wine coming from the Languedoc. And with this one, you know, you can, you have a full expression, of course, of the south of France because you can smell, you know, you have red fruit, black fruit, but you have also the, you know, the wild taste coming from the garrigue, you know. And, you know, the wine has been aged in French oak for 12 months. This is still young, but very good because it's very mineral, you know. And the mineral is because it's salty. And when the wine is salty, it's because, of course, first of all, because of the terroir, because the saltiness comes from the limestone. That's why sometimes we ask people to suck the stone in order for them to understand the impact of the terroir. And then, of course, when on top of that you use biodynamic principle, you reinforce the terroir effect on the wine, and you reinforce also the minerality, the freshness. And this is really a wine, you know, you can drink now, but you will be able also to drink in the next 20 or 30 years. And I recommend this wine, you know, with a steak au poivre, you know, it's perfect, you know, blending because food and wine pairing is very important. And also with duck, you know, I am a fan of duck, you know, and I think you can have this wine with duck when it is young. And if you drink the same wine, you know, in 10 or 15 years, you can add some mushrooms, you know, because the mushroom always makes a difference when you make mushroom with sauce. You know, and of course, this is really the taste of the south of France. And we are proud because this, you know, we have 15 different estates, but this is really where we do a lot of events, as you say, because we do jazz festival. We have a beautiful restaurant with the chef, Laurent Chabert, you know, he's very talented. And we use only organic and biodynamic ingredients in the restaurant. And we do also a lot of food and wine pairing in order to enjoy people. And, you know, and to explain to people exactly the importance and of taking care about the nature also. And, you know, that's why, you know, my first book was Wine, Moon and Star. Yeah. Because it was important to explain my commitment for the nature and the biodynamic principle. And I took the advantage of this crisis to write another book. And I hope to promote the book at the end of the year about the new paradigm for the world. Because I think it's very important now for people to understand that we have to take care about Mother Nature. Because, of course, if we do not respect the nature, we will get in trouble more often. And that's important because Michel and myself, when we do biodynamic practices, this is beyond what we do, and this is beyond the wine industry. This is a part of us because, of course, we want to be connected with the nature and we want to let a better generation, a better planet for the next generations, and especially for the kids and the grandkids. And I think now it's time to change. And I'm sure that wine will help because, as Michel said, we do wine for more than 2,000 years. And you know, wine, it's a privilege because this is really a unique beverage. Because when you drink something, when you drink wine, you can feel the taste of somewhere. And this is unique. You cannot have this kind of experience with another fruit. You know, that's why the grape is really amusing. And that's why also all the different places in the world, and especially, you know, what we do in France for biodynamic farming is very important for us and for the next generation.
Yeah, no, it is. I love always telling people this is, you know, we're tasting all these wines and it's all made from one ingredient, the grape. And just the diversity that comes from that is amazing. So I love when you talk a lot about the energy of wine. And I want to kind of see if you can relate that a little bit to the biodynamics in the vineyard and how that brings out the energy in wine.
Yeah, I agree. You know, it's important because when you do an analysis about the wine, you can see the acidity, the pH, and so on. But the only thing you have to feel and not to read or to understand is a question of emotion. It's a question also of feeling. When you drink a glass of wine, if the wine full you deeply in your body, but also in your soul, you can discover that. That's why, you know, I said that you have different kind of things. When you drink a glass of wine, you can have pleasure, you can have a taste, but more importantly, sometimes you have an emotion, and very rare time, but sometimes you can have a message. And this is a message in a bottle. You know, this is also a song of Sting, you know, message in a bottle, yes. But to have a chance to get a message in a bottle, you have to respect the terroir and not use any chemical product. This is very important, to use only preparation coming from the nature. That's why, you know, with the biodynamic farming, we dynamize the water and then we spray the water with some preparation, and, you know, and it's like homeopathic medicine. You know, it's just a couple of 1 or 2 spoons of preparation in 500 liters of water, because we deliver information to the vine. And this is what we do also when you open a bottle of this, like this wine and like the Viognier from Michel, you can understand and you can feel something special, you know, and something special is the energy, because you see that in your, you know, first of all in your throat, you know, and then you have after the throat, you can feel that in your body, you know. It's you know, it's like when you meditate, you know, you can see and you can feel your body extending, you know.
Yeah. This is I think these are both such great examples of both the south of France, and they do show that the layers of complexity and the energy, and neither of them are too powerful. Like you mentioned, Michel, they're really demonstrating and reflecting that sense of place and just kind of letting the soil and terroir speak, which is what biodynamics tries to do. So I have a couple of questions I wanted to ask you from some of our viewers who entered those ahead of time. And Gerard, I'm going to start with you. Andrea in California, Mark in Ohio, and Julie from Virginia. I'm going to kind of combine their questions because they both revolved a little bit about climate change and global warming. I know Michel spoke a little bit about that, but kind of wanted to know, are there adaptations you're making for climate change? Or are there any climate limitations for biodynamic farming? I know Michel mentioned actually biodynamics is helping actually as increase in temperature to kind of maintain acidity and things like that. So Gerard, could you speak a little bit to that kind of confusing question?
You know, yes, we can talk now about the climate change. I don't know if we can talk yet about global warming, but concerning the climate change, you know, of course, it is a global thing. And with the biodynamic farming, we have an impact, you know, on the vines and on the estate, because it's something very important to do microclimate. You know, the microclimate, this is a very important concept, because at the end of the day, it's a balance between the climate, the vine, the soul, and human being. And on top of that, at the Clos d'Oran, the Clos du Temple, and also at Château L'Hospitalet, we use mule and horses in order to connect the vegetal, the mineral, and human being. It's a full thing. And of course, we have an impact at this, in the estate. But of course, with the biodynamic farming, we have a longer vegetative cycle. And also, we have less alcoholic degrees, which is very important. And I don't know what will happen in the future, but if we continue to have the temperature going up, we will have in the future to adapt the new plantation with a grape which will resist to the heat, because after 35 degrees, you can kill the acidity. That's why it's very important for us to have a high density with 8,000 feet by hectare and so on, in order to create shadow. That's why, it's an ecosystem, and also it's a microclimate. In all the vineyards, we create microclimate.
Yeah, I guess we'll be seeing in the future. So Michel, feel free, if you want to add to that, please do, because I think the next question kind of comes into that from Nicholas in New York. He was asking, how do you see the future of winemaking with biodynamic farming? And if you want to tie into that, plus the fact that there's some climate change that might be part of it.
The roots of a vine can go 200 or 200 feet down. Of course, when you feed with fertilizer, the vine is naturally lazy and the roots will now go in a deepness. If you bring irrigation, they will now need to make effort to go in a deep soil. So the tradition to plow, and you could see the pictures of the monk of Gérard in his vineyards, that obliged the roots to go down and to resist against drought. And it's interesting because when we have some dry year, we can observe that the vineyard in biodynamic are much more resistant than the vineyard which are not which are in conventional. So that's another example, because the origin of vineyard was always in very dry country. Irrigation is not a natural way of growing vineyard. It is a natural economic way, because that makes sense if you want to have a higher yield. But the vineyard, without the help of the irrigation, could resist with very dry climate. It is a pre-desert vegetation.
Yeah, and just from a difference of organic versus biodynamic, what extra kind of goes into this part of irrigation with that?
Oh, well, I saw the question about this. I like to say chemical is, I have a headache, I take an aspirin.
Yeah.
Organic, instead to take a chemical molecule, I will take a natural molecule. I will take a herb tea. But the common point between organic and chemical is that we are still on a curative philosophy. When you arrive in biodynamic is, I have a headache, why? And then the question is more important than the answer. Is it because of my blood pressure, about my cholesterol? And then I will try to go to the base and the roots of the disease and not take care of the pain or the symptom. And that is all the difference. The organic farming is just very often we replace a chemical molecule by a natural molecule. That they don't go as far as we go in biodynamic, where we speak. No, quantum mechanics has explained the notion of energy. We are in the notion of energy.
Yes. Okay, well, I thank you both so much for being here. I feel like I've learned a lot. I hope everybody watching has learned a lot. Also, both websites for Chapoutier as well as Gérard Bertrand are wonderful in kind of diving into this biodynamic and the sense of place and the story. So I really encourage you for learning more to be there. also, I just also wanted to say, if you weren't able to purchase the wines ahead of time, we still have them available on wine.com. They are a treat. I highly encourage that. And I thank you all for just joining us to speak with us, but really to Michel and Gerard, this is just, appreciate you helping us understand this philosophy, because I think it's very intricate. It's very interesting. There's so many levels, and it's always wonderful to speak to two people with such passion behind this. So I appreciate your time, especially so late at night. And I hope you all enjoyed this. And again, these amazing guests were just fantastic. So Gerard and Michel, merci beaucoup.
Thank you.
We look forward to hopefully biodynamics will expand. I think that as we learn more about ourselves during this crazy time, as well as the world as it changes, we'll see more of this. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Bye-bye. See you soon.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.
It's both a science and a form of high art. It's made from the combination of grapes, sunlight, rain, soil, and time. It's raised up in the moments that matter. It's wine. And we are Wine.com. We have the largest wine selection in the world, online sommeliers with free advice, and now our powerful new app puts the entire world of wine in your hands. Wine.com. Seriously passionate about